Hi folks, Bob from Siskiyou Gunworks here to talk a little bit about lead-free hunting ammo for handguns. Many of you know back in July 1st it became illegal to hunt anything in California with any leaded bullets. This isn't a huge problem for rifles. I mean, you got Nosler, Barnes, and Hornady all make bullets and ammo that are solid copper, and those are pretty readily available. What isn't available, other than from buffalo bore ammunition really, is lead-free handgun hunting ammo. So we set out to develop as many loads as we could, starting out with the heavy hitters, and I was actually at the range with 3 of them this morning, and they are sitting right in front of me. One of those is the Ruger Super Blackhawk 454, and you'll notice a little movement there on the scope. That's because by the second round of groups, the screw came loose that was holding the back end down here. So we'll delve into that and find a fix. I also brought my 500 JRH, which is basically a shortened 500 Smith & Wesson, so that it fits in a normal size frame that you can wear in a regular belt holster that doesn't pull your pants down or take 4 minutes to draw. And this is my Woods carry gun. It's actually one of the guns on my CCW. Not because I run around concealed carrying a 500 JRH all the time, although I do have a holster that works. It's because I can take it out in the woods and throw it in my pack without having to lock it up and put it in a separate compartment like you have to by California law with any other handgun that's not on your permit. And then the third one I had out there this morning was another Magnum Research BFR. This one's in 500 Smith & Wesson. You notice the much longer cylinder, which adds, let's see, about 20 ounces to it, and makes it for a real heavy gun at 72 ounces and a real long draw from the holster. One thing about the BFR cylinders is it's designed originally for a 45-70 or 30-30, so it's a lot longer than it needs to be, which means you can seat bullets further out, and we'll talk about that in a minute when we review a selection of bullets that we're working with. And let's take a look at that now. Okay, so here we got a selection of handgun bullets. Here's our traditional handgun hunting bullet. It's a hard cast lead bullet. This one's a cast performance 360 grain 45 caliber bullet. And you notice it has a wide flat nose on it that creates a large wound channel, and the weight along with the bullet design creates a lot of penetration, which is key when you're handgun hunting. Now if we go to the same design in copper, this one only weighs 300 grains, but it's the same length as the 360 grain lead bullet. And because of the lighter weight of the copper, and there's 2 drawbacks to this. Number one is with the same bullet weight you're going to lose powder space because it's a longer bullet. And in addition to that, it's got a longer bearing surface, and both of those are going to create greater pressure. So generally speaking, you're not going to get as much velocity at safe pressure levels out of the solid copper projectile. Now Barnes also makes these very wide hollow point pistol bullets. This one's a 250 grain 45 caliber. You'll notice it's just as long as the 300 grain solid. Now the downside on this one is it is going to expand rapidly, but you're not going to get the kind of penetration you're going to get with these other 2. And Barnes also makes more of a pointed bullet for the 50 caliber. This one's designed for the 500 Smith & Wesson, and this is shaped more and behaves more like their rifle bullets. The downside on this one is you got a lot more sticking out of the case, and it will not fit in the length of the 500 JR8 cylinder. It sticks out and obviously prevents the cylinder from turning. Now it works just fine in the 500 Smith & Wesson cylinder on my Magnum Research. Because of the long cylinder, there's plenty of space outside of the chamber. And this one here is a 400 grain 50 caliber bullet, and it'll work in either the JRH or the Smith & Wesson, and this is what I was shooting in the JRH earlier today. This one is what I was shooting in the Smith & Wesson, and then over here is what I was shooting in the 454 Casole this morning. Now one benefit of the longer cylinder in that 500 Smith & Wesson is you can seat it further back in a groove further back here, which is going to reduce the amount that it goes into the case, and you've got more out of the case because there's more room inside the chamber in that longer cylinder. Now, as I said, we went to the range this morning, so we'll show a little footage from that, and then we'll take a look at the target and see what happened. Okay, here we are out at the range, getting ready to test our next round of loads. We'll start off with the little guy here, the 454. And in case you're wondering, yes, it does take a lot of concentration not to develop a flinch shooting these things off the bench. But I've been doing it for so long, I think I can control myself, but we'll see. Got our chronograph ready to go. Let's see what we got. A little over 1,600 feet per second. I'll take that. All kinds of traffic this morning. Apparently they don't believe in the social distancing up there at the old Sporting Clays range. Not a very impressive group. On to the next one. Reset our little friend here, the chronograph. Okay. And here we go with the 500 JRH. And yes, I am putting a pad under my right elbow because it gets hammered off the bench shooting these things. Definitely not the speediest load, about 1,360 feet per second. And we'll reset again. break out the big boy. 500 Smith & Wesson. It's our 375 grain Barnes X-Bullet. Come to think of it, the last time I ran this thing across the chronograph, I had to switch from pistol to rifle mode because the velocities were so high, so I guess we better do that. Okay. That's not good. Hard primer. Apparently. Man, this is some consistent velocity here. The low was 1704 and the high was 1707. That's pretty darn good. We should have a nice little group out of that. Oh yes, we do. Looks like one big old ragged hole. Well, I won't punish you by making you watch me fire the next 30 rounds. We'll see where we came out when we're all done. So here we have our first target from this morning. Here's my initial group at the 454. Started out okay, and then we started creeping up, and I think that's probably when the mount started coming loose. And the second group at the 454, I was aiming for the center, and the first shot landed up here, and it was obvious by that point that the mount was loose and was about ready to come off. Here's the first group with the 500 JRH and the second with the 500 JRH. Not exactly what I'd like to see out of it. There's lots of work to do on that one still. The 454 has shot loads in the 3/4 inch at 50-yard range, as all these were shot at 50 yards. And the 500 Smith & Wesson, there's the first group. And the other two that I fired were just about the same size, so that one is showing some promise. But still lots more powders to try, and we will keep at it until we get where we want to be. And for now, take care, and hopefully we'll send you some new content pretty soon. Thank you much.